Alton Towers, one of the biggest amusement parks in Britain. It's closed for the winter. But behind the security fence, something's going on. They're building a secret weapon. It's designed to strike terror into the hearts of millions and make them pay for the privilege. Alton Towers is located in the middle of England.
It is situated in the most gorgeous part of the country. 500 acres of landscape parkland in the middle of Staffordshire. It really is a stunning setting, and once people get here they know that they're in somewhere, that they're out of the way, they've almost crossed an imaginary border from their real lives into fantasy, and you know, that is extremely useful in terms of getting across the message of just how special Alton Towers is.
Originally a stately home, Alton Towers has been a visitor attraction since the last century. But since the 1980s, it's grown into a massive amusement park, a byword for big rides, big thrills. But a softer Disneyland image was added after the park became part of the Tussaud Group in 1990. The idea is to appeal to the family market. There are regular shows with well-known children's characters like Peter Rabbit on ice. There are gentle water rides and other attractions, and an area called the Land of Make-Believe, specifically for the younger visitors. As in Disneyland, staff dress up as characters linked to themes in the park and mingle with the customers.
Hey!
Alton Towers' proposition, as we would call it, is Britain's most magical experience, and this is one of our key marketing strategies. When we develop new areas on the park, the way the theme looks, the way the park is presented on a daily basis to the people, it has to be magical, it has to be unique, and it has to be something that uplifts people, if you like. How you define magic is a sort of endlessly difficult question, but we do have a definition that we use to try and make people understand what we're trying to achieve. We call it the night before Christmas. What this is about, if you think back to when you were 8 or 9 or 10 years old and you're a little kid and you're just putting your head down to go to sleep the night before Christmas, and if you think of the excitement and the emotion and everything that's churning around your head or your tummy or whatever it may be, that sort of excitement, if you like, and expectation, anticipation, is very much what we want to achieve the night before a kid comes to Alton Towers.
With around 3 million visitors a year and a turnover of £50 million, Alton Towers claims to be Britain's leading theme park and its most popular paid-for visitor attraction. But underlying this is a problem of image. In the past, A large fraction of their customers were thrill seekers. Teenagers drawn to the big rides, the feeling of danger. But in the 1990s, population forecasts indicated that there would be fewer 15 to 24-year-olds in their marketplace, a drop of 1.7 million. To keep up its profits, Alton Towers began investing heavily to attract families. But now the balance has swung too far the other way. They've got the families, but are they losing out on the teenage thrill seekers? Nemesis. Currently their top thrill ride. The idea is you're riding an alien monster. Very different from sitting in a traditional ride car, it feels like there's nothing between you and the ground. Nemesis caused a sensation when it was first launched, but that was in 1994, and for many thrill-seeking customers, it's now old hat. Alton Towers needs something new to bring back the teenagers. A secret weapon.
SW4 stands for Secret Weapon 4, which is not the name, but that's the code name for our Secret Weapon new project. What it is, it's the world's first vertical drop roller coaster, and we're sort of particularly proud of that as a concept, because in many ways that's been the roller coaster's holy grail for many years. One of the very, very clever things about the ride, I believe, is you're seated 8 wide, so it's vast for a coaster. It's 2 rows deep, and the second row is higher than the first row, such that when you're on the edge and you're about to plummet vertically, everybody is going to have the feeling that they're about to vertically drop with nothing in front of them.
So you just want to terrify people?
I suppose for some people it will be fairly terrifying.
So as Divisional Marketing Director, will you be the first one to actually try the ride out?
One of the first. The first time the coaster's run, it's run with sandbags. And then after that, the very first person that will ride it will be the chap who's the main designer. There's 1 or 2 other of us that may ride it in conjunction with him, or we may let him ride it on its own, probably depending on whether we think there's anything wrong in the first test.
The news of the new ride is already creating great interest among the country's roller coaster enthusiasts.
Do you think it will provide something new?
I think it will provide a new thrill that no one will have done this before. No one can imagine what the thrill is going to be like because there's no other ride to compare it to in the world. So I think for the very first go that people have on it, it's going to be very unique.
SW4 will cost £12 million. It will have a major impact on all marketing work in Alton Towers.
A major new attraction like SW4 really will drive visitor numbers, hopefully drive profitability, and have a big impact. So it would be foolhardy for it not to be central to nearly all aspects of our marketing strategy.
And what sort of budget have you got for buying airtime?
Well, the total marketing budgets for Alton Towers is £5 million. We haven't decided the exact amount that will go into TV advertising yet, but it's a good chunk of that.
There will be one main advert for the new ride.
Come March next year, we will want 80 to 85%, particularly of 16 to 24s, but to an extent of all people in the UK, to have seen this ad 3 or 4 times. Which is, you know, a fairly standard big burst, if you like. Then we'll follow it up during the course of the year with some smaller bursts, and we'll probably during the course of the year and to a certain extent in the first burst use some 10-second cut downs of it as well.
Alton Towers has commissioned agency J. Walter Thompson to make the ad.
The colours are strongly the orange and the darkness in the background, which are the colours we've used throughout the design work for the ride. As we're all aware, there is a feeling, however anecdotal it may be, that some of the youth credibility for Alton Towers has declined or diminished recently, and the new ride does allow us to attempt to rebuild that. In terms of just thinking about the target audience, they do like to think they've done it all before. They could probably do anything, nothing really scares them, but it is uncool to resist a challenge, and they tend to sarcastically mock lesser ones, so we do have to position this as a challenge to them. Specifically against youth, we need to throw down an irresistible challenge to single adults to clearly communicate the ride's USP, face down free falling, and the terrifying intensity of that experience. The single-minded response we wanted to put across was Oblivion, you must be joking.
Oblivion will be the name for the new ride, though no one outside a select few yet know it. A storyboard helps them visualise the advert before they commit hundreds of thousands of pounds to making it. The ad will open in semi-darkness, a hand frantically clinging to a rail. Cut to a face, he's petrified. A bead of sweat runs down his face, but not straight down. It runs off at a right angle. Suddenly, we see he's suspended above a drop. The bead of sweat plunges down and down into oblivion. Then he sees there's someone sitting next to him. Someone strange, manic. He's not frightened. He wants to be there. He looks back and says, "Don't look down." But the marketing team has a problem with the idea. It goes back to the question of image. How dark can they go?
One thing I've got a bit of misgivings about is the idea of having this weirdo sitting next to him. I'm not convinced that having this a manic weirdo on one of the Alton Towers rides is a good idea. He looks absolutely out of it, a real psycho. I think if we're to use this one, he should be slightly more human, a bit less sinister.
I think the man who delivers Don't Look Down needs to look and be in contrast to our regular man who's on there. He isn't supposed to be a serial killer, but he is supposed to look slightly odd, both in terms of his appearance and how he behaves. And as a sort of casting guide, then a sort of 28-year-old Rutger Hauer would be the sort of looks, which isn't particularly, he's not an assassin, but he does look a bit unusual. You know, he should be odd, and I think that's about right for him, rather than, you know, the next door serial killer.
But their biggest problem is that they have one advert and two distinct markets. If the advert is too scary, they risk putting off families with young children. Not scary enough, and they'll fail to bring back the teenagers. To ease this problem, they turn to other media, such as magazines.
Magazine advertising is extremely useful to us in that we can target our audience very specifically. We know the profile of people who might read a specific magazine and can use that accordingly to give a very specific message. So you can perhaps go a little bit more risque with a 15 to 24-year-old magazine, or you might be able to go more cuddly with a family circle or a woman's own or what have you, because you know, or you would hope, that not too many 15 to 24-year-olds would be reading.
A further complication is that the main target of their advertising is seldom the person actually paying the bills.
In many ways, even though Dad or the head of the household might hold the purse strings, he or she is very rarely the person who makes the decision. Pester power is one of the greatest generators of visits to Alton Towers. So if we do advertisements which specifically appeal to the kids, then if they rung along and tug mother's skirt tails and say, we have to go to Alton Towers and we have to go now, then that is extremely strong.
PR is a very important and integral part of our marketing strategy. We probably receive more coverage in total for Alton Towers through PR than we do through purchase media.
PR activity is vital to us because it tends to generate endorsement from a newspaper or from a magazine or from a TV programme, which suggests possibly that we haven't fed them the story, but that they're telling the country about Alton Towers. i.e. there's a new ride that's coming into Alton Towers which is so good that you really must go along and ride it.
Strangely enough, the key to their PR strategy is keeping things secret.
The idea with SW4, which launches in March 1998, is to keep the story under wraps until it's going to work best for us, and it will work best for us in the 2 weeks prior to the start of the season.
There is a certain level of knowledge which is out in the marketplace at the moment, which is there is a world first ride coming to Alton Towers in March 1998. Now, our strategy is one of the information seeping out very slowly over the next 4 months or so.
I've heard a lot of rumours. I've got no idea definitely what it is. I've heard certain rumours about like this being a vertical drop, you know, straight down, whatever, which is really exciting if it is, because a roller coaster's never done that before.
And the considerations for revealing different bits about the ride and the brand SW4 have literally been considered closer to the time, around the March period and end of February period, on a daily basis. So we'll deal with those people on that day, and then exactly on the Sunday we'll reveal that piece of information, on the Tuesday that piece of information, and it really is a very detailed PR planning exercise.
Another form of PR takes the shape of competitions and special offers, perhaps in a newspaper, perhaps on a packet of breakfast cereal. This kind of promotion also helps to make use of off-peak capacity.
So we may say to, say, a newspaper, if you give us this much coverage, we will run a promotion with you. That promotion may then involve some kids go free would be a typical mechanic. So if the adult pays, kids can come in for free. What we tend to do with the promotions is tailor them to particular times. So early season or late season, when we're perhaps not quite so busy, we'll try and encourage people via promotional offers to come at those times. If we can achieve that, that takes the pressure off the peak periods, which leads to better guest satisfaction.
Alton Towers doesn't just promote itself directly to the general public. They also target specific organisations and individuals who they know can bring them large numbers of customers. Perhaps the most important of these are the coach operators, who bring parties of people to Alton Towers from all over Britain. Marketing here